when a child is working on rolling over, right, we have to look at rolling over where it comes from. We can't just say go roll. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that people have. So at first, when a baby is first born, they have what's called a spinal swing. And their spine, just like if I took beta strands, will do this and they'll learn how to do all of this, right? And from that, we've done tummy time, right? The tummy time has to have here where the head and all that is crossing midline. So the arms are neutral. It's a pre-crawl. When a roll starts to happen, a child will either look at something and they'll go, but a roll should stop and start at any time. And they can take it and then they can go back again. But the head is always up. That's rolling over, right? So from the back, they see something and they literally reach for it and they come up and that's a roll, right? This type of roll is possible. This is not a functional movement, right? This is not something you will see children do. When you want a child to do it, you are asking for patterning and mimicking, but it's not an exercise or a movement that they would do, right? Rolling is always, because now it's going into a crawl, right? So that's a roll. And again, the way he is structurally in the pelvis, so we have coccyvalgia here. So that's pulling his head down here just because of the way the pelvis is shaped. We don't know this for sure yet, but that's what I'm going with. Is the pelvis is shaped here. And so now I've got my arm here. So you're looking for the arm to do something that's affected by the pelvis. So for him to go out and what you think is a stretch out or do this with, because he doesn't have that availability structurally in his system. A lot of people get they think it's a CP thing. Maybe CP formed the hips, but that's where the hips are structurally. So to get him to do this with these kind of hips, you know what I mean? Even me, when I do this, my arm wants to pull in just because of what I'm doing into my right hip with that movement. And that's where you're seeing. So that's where you have to understand it's not the cognitive, it's the structure. So it's like having a car, a Mercedes $1 million car, but if you have one tire even underinflated, that car will never perform to the way that you expect, and it'll break down differently. It'll have different movements. You can't go 95 miles an hour with it. So that's what you're looking for. So again, I see something. It's all rotation, and it's so easy to do. But when you're seeing this, you know what I mean, and that, so that's why I'm trying to teach him right now. Now that's something I can do even with this structure. So here, you're still going to get the head down because that's where my hip is. My hip isn't up. Now, if my hip was up, I would be here. And that's a completely different movement just based off of skeletal structure. So this is where too you start seeing kids doing this kind of stuff and hanging off and doing that, or they're starting to go this way and that's how they're playing. And so that's what I'm working with now with him. In this position, I got space. My legs are down, my hips aren't bothering me, and I can be here, and now I can start working on, oh, what's brother doing? See, I have a complete range here. But in this position, again, with his structure, and even coming here, I don't have a visual range, and that's where he tosses his head, and then all of a sudden you're back to where you were, because for him to look over here, this is the easiest way to do it. Versus, oh, what's up? And going here, and again, now you're starting to see the crawl happen. Does that make sense?